Hello everyone, this is part 44 of What If Naruto Learned the Secret of Shadow Clone, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Naruto could admit, without coaxing even, that he was a bit of a pushover with the girls. So, when Shion was more than a little adamant that she was coming back with them and there was nothing he could do to stop her, well, watery puppy dog eyes won nearly every time. So here they were, one Hiraishin later and dropping down in the entryway of the Uzumaki mansion. Tired but relaxed, everyone slides away from where they had latched onto Naruto, short of Shion, who is looking around in a bit of wonder. Sighing and praying the others gave him a chance to explain before ripping him to shreds, Naruto turned to the others and tried his best to ignore the soft woman at his side. "I'm dead." Sakura nods as she begins tucks several scrolls away into her pouch. I'm sure the girls won't be too mad. She'd had to find time to get the gang of 4 bodies to Karen later. She doubted they had useful bounties to be turned in. Sasuke grins as he joins his girlfriend. "I only wish you the best." "That feels fake. But you can't tell, can you?" Sasuke was still grinning as he could see the gears turning in Naruto's head, before finally the Uzumaki gave him the finger. "Screw your Uchiha shenanigans." Naruto is further irked as Sasuke chuckles and throws an arm over Sakura's shoulders as they walk away towards the main room, while Naruto starts to follow while pulling Shion along. Behind him, Naruto and a giggling Fu are already angling away for one of the entryway stairwells to hit their bedroom on the next floor up. "We're taking our 2 days off, Ruto." Naruto winked at him and grinned at his heavy sigh. "Please tell me you'll do anything else other than hole up in your room for 2 days straight." While the threat of getting her memories was over, Naruto was not quiet, and even the thicker than normal walls here couldn't completely deaden their noise at night. "Oh, don't worry, we won't do anything you wouldn't." Naruto takes the blushing Fu into her arms, before the gone and around the corner out of sight. Shaking his head but having to relent that Naruto finally had a real body all her own, so he couldn't really fault her much. So instead he focuses on following his friends where he grumbles about his luck. "I was supposed to be the one with good luck." Sakura looks back at him and raises an eyebrow. "You saying having 10 women all after your love and not killing you isn't extremely lucky?" There was no way he could be that dense. No way. Naruto thought about that, mentally counting in his head and coming up short. 10. With Shion there are 8. Where did you get 10? Oh, please don't tell him he forgot someone. He couldn't take it. Sakura blinked rapidly, not believing that he was really forgetting who else was interested in him that wasn't here right now. Opening her mouth to say something, Sasuke interrupts her by placing a gentle finger to her lips. Affronted, Sakura turns to him quickly. "We have to tell him. He's an idiot, let him figure it out on his own." "But, come on, he's gotta be messing with us." Sasuke looked between the sweating and counting on his fingers Naruto and back to his wide-eyed girlfriend. "Does he really look like he's messing around?" But, how?" Sakura turned to watch the leader of a heavily industrialized nation counted backwards and forwards on his fingers with intense concentration. "My head hurts." "It's Naruto, that should be answer enough." Naruto held up 8 fingers. No, I counted again. With Shion it's 8. I mean, unless you count Mei. But that's not official at all. She's just a flirt, I think, yeah. Missing Shion look at him with something close to awe. Naruto really thought about the Mizukage. Hadn't the girls said something about a fight with Hinata? Was he forgetting something important? He probably was. But even with Mei that's 9, not 10. What are we counting now? Tayuya was looking at him from her seated position on the floor next to Honoka, specifically Naruto and the nearly welded to his side Shion. Having made their way to the sitting room, Team 7 saw most of the Uzumaki girls all here and lounging about where they liked. Naruto was reminded that Kayuki, Kotohime and Karen were all gone at the moment, left for Suna to meet with their council. Considering the time, they should be on their way back by now. But as the collective eyes all trailed to the suddenly nervous short blonde at his side, Naruto stands a bit firmer and explains their mission. Sasuke and Sakura coming around and sitting together on a larger lounging chair to be quickly joined by a nervous but happy-looking Amaru as Naruto told his story and the Foxton girls listened quietly. They smirked as Naruto finished and a grumpy-looking Ino pulled out a wad of Ryo and handed it over to a smiling Hinata who was sitting next to her. Seeing this, Naruto started to frown. Please tell me you lot haven't started placed bets on if I'll save some new princess or not. Seated on a plush beanbag and curled up with a book under a window to take advantage of the waning daylight, Honoka waves a hand in the air. I actually thought you would run into more Uzumaki somehow while you were out there. Sakura nods at the thought, he does have that kind of luck. Sasuke agrees, I certainly wouldn't have been surprised if that happened. Amaru giggled at his side and he could secretly admit that it felt nice. Maybe Naruto was onto something here. Naruto grunts, coming around and dropping on the couch between Hinata and Ino. Shien sits up ramrod straight as she's suddenly in very close proximity of his current wives. Naruto himself decides that he's going to take it all as a win and not question it, whatever. I want to relax for one night and then in the morning we can make plans for the summit. Ino, though still a bit grumpy, leans in and pecks him on the cheek. There's another airship on the way, should be here tomorrow. It is specifically to take us to the summit. We decided traveling in style would be good for this. They had all remembered the stir they had made when they traveled back to Konoha and made their entrance. Best to do something similar at the summit. Naruto nods, sounds like a great idea. Tayuya watches them quietly from her spot on the floor, eyes flicking between Hinata and Shien with increasing rapidity before snapping her fingers. You know, is it just me or are there a lot of similarities going on here? Honoka looks up, taking in the new girl and tilting her head this way and that. Shien was wearing a yellow jacket over a white tank top and red hakama. As the others take a good look at her, she begins to get a little nervous, holding a finger to her cheek. Is there something on my face? Honoka begins to chuckle. She could be a dead ringer for Hinata's sister if she had dark hair. Ino takes her in and begins to giggle, seeing it right away as Hinata and Shien are right next to each other. Oh man. Maybe Naruto does have a type. Hinata and Shien look at each other, unable to refute it because they both can in fact see the similarities. Shien however turns to the apparently friendly blonde. What do you mean, has a type? Naruto groans and relaxes to toss his head back against the couch, arms coming up over its back to embrace Shien and Ino to his sides. They mean that I only go after the most gorgeous and capable women in the world. That's my type. Strong and beautiful. Tayuya rolls her eyes, more like stacked and fu. Honoka smacks her in the head to stop her sentence. Rubbing her head, Tayuya frowns, no hitting pregnant women. Honoka shakes her head, no being vulgar. Karen asked me to keep you in line. Smart ass busybody. Standing and coming around to help Naruto to his feet, Hinata smiles and kisses him slowly, before gently pushing him away. You should go and get cleaned up. Take your team and hit the bath, we'll be along shortly. Do I want to know why you aren't going to join me now? Seeing the looks all of the girls short of Shien were giving him, Naruto nods, never mind. Hinata nods, poking him in the chest, good man. We promise, we'll be nice. Naruto nods, turning away and watching as Sasuke, Sakura and Amaru all stand and are already walking towards the rear of the room towards the bath. I'm going to die, aren't I? Amaru giggles as she finds all of it hilarious. Better start eating some big meals, cousin. I'm going to need a lot more than that. In fact, next rescue mission, you get to be the focus Sasuke. No way, that's your role, I'm the cool mysterious one. More like the edgy tryhard. You're just mad you're never going to get a full night's sleep ever again. Naruto really thought about that one, before nearly coming to tears and nodding, Kami you're right. I'm doomed. Sakura giggles, you big baby. Naruto gains a manic grin and points dramatically at Sakura, name your price. If I have to suffer so does Sasuke. Sakura blinks as Amaru takes a minute before blushing heavily and Sasuke shakes his head quickly, but Sakura is already grinning and sharing a leer with Naruto. Oh ho, I was already planning on it, but if you wanna sweeten the deal. Sasuke knew it was over the second his girlfriend and Naruto started to talk while power walking ahead. Just what would those two think up now? Back in the sitting room and having all sat back down and focused on Shien, it is Tayuya who takes the lead a bit, explaining life with the Uzumaki and Azushio. Shion had a bit of information because of Naruto about how he started rebuilding his clan, but now getting perspectives from all of the other women was helping strike a different chord with her. They had all been from such different ways of life, while yes sure they were all kunoichi with exception to one, but they all had such varying experiences. With all of that, they all found comfort in the same determined and passionate man who was willing to go against the world to change things. Someone willing to make the impossible, possible. Shion eventually speaks up, bowing her head, I don't want to upset things here. I know my feelings don't have to be returned and. Next to her Hinata gently places a hand on her arm to calm her, do not worry. You're already in, we just need to figure out what you would like to do here. Ino nods, granted, we had planned on only allowing 9 women in total. You know, 1 woman for each tail of the Kyuubi. Ino giggles as Shion's curious look, we thought it was clever. Tayuya nods before holding up both of her open hands and wiggling one index finger, except with Shion we're at 10. Well, it's not like we can turn away Mei, thanks to Hinata. The cow deserved it. Ino nudges her friend, and the fangirl is pretty determined to catch Naruto's eye. Honoka hums at that before shrugging and opening her book again. Naruto-sama himself charmed Shion and earned her affection. We certainly shouldn't turn her away, but do we think this is the end of expanding Foxton? Hinata nods, it's for the best, any more than this and it really will be too crowded. Tayuya nods, besides, between all of us, maybe we can finally outlast that stamina freak. That sent Shion blushing, wait, you mean? Really? Hinata gains a wistful look on her face, oh you have no idea. Short of everyone working together and us banning him from using clones, he can and will wear us all out. Clones. Shion hadn't considered that one could use clones that way. Tayuya also began to daydream, oh girl, you are in for a treat one day. Ino clears her throat, hoping to get the conversation back on track. So, Shion, what are your interests? Talents. We should work on integrating you with the group however we can. Well, Shion thinks about it before shrugging, I'm a priestess, my abilities deal with sealing away dark entities and exorcising demons and banishing them back to the spirit realm. I can also purify and destroy dark chakra. Whistling, Tayuya grins and considers the possibilities of that, now that is a useful skill, though it sounds like you aren't a combat type. Seeing Shion shake her head, Tayuya nods, we can work with that. This was shaping up to be a long evening, but at least everyone who could be was finally home. B. Naruto did not want to tie himself down to his desk on his first day back from a mission, and with all of the authority of being a Kage, he sure as hell wasn't going to. So leaving a hardened clone in his place, this morning found himself at his training ground having a spar. Sasuke and Sakura sit off to the side with Fu, the pair resting and drinking water after their own round with the overwhelming Naruto, while at the moment he and Naruto faced each other. Currently exchanging fast-paced taijutsu, the Uzumaki twins are focused completely on each other, though they know they can't get too excessive with their techniques. Sasuke groans and reaches up to rub his shoulder, why did I have to lock my Sharingan this time? Sakura flicked him in the knee, because we made Naruto lock his Rinnegan. You both have hack eyes. At this rate she was going to see if she could steal a dojutsu and join the boys in cheating special eye powers. Turning as the ground rumbles and shakes, they take in Naruto defending himself from a heavy-looking downward axe kick from Naruto, the ground cratering around him before he flung his arms out and tossed her away. Naruto was grinning, dashing in and exchanging a short combo with Naruto while said young woman began to grin, fangs flashing, think you can keep up there Na-chan. He'd use Fuu's nickname for her, he knew it pissed her off. Eye twitching, Naruto's grin stretches even more, I've got a powerful demon sealed in me as well, I'm just as good on chakra as you are. Well maybe. Mario was an ancient chakra beast, but in terms of raw power Kurama still had it beat, by a lot. Diving under a jump kick, Naruto turns to try to take advantage only to have to back away from a quick back kick. Grunting, kunai appear in her hands with a flash from seals on her wrists and Naruto nods. If you say so, let's put that to the test. Right hand coming up to his left arm, the Kubakiriboko is suddenly in his hand and he goes back on the attack. A horizontal swing is blocked by twin kunai augmented with chakra, but Naruto is still tossed away while Naruto chases after her with a cackle. Coming into range and bearing down with a vertical slash, he's blocked by black chakra chains. Woo! That's new. Let's see if you can keep up with this. Naruto counterattacks, whipping her chains about in a frenzy while Naruto spins and blocks easily with the large cleaver that was his sword. They dance around each other, errant attacks tearing apart and gouging out the rocky terrain they found themselves on. Fu cheers for her girlfriend before settling down a bit, fingers fidgety. I still can't believe it. Naruto has her own body now. Sakura nods. I mean, it is the broken down and reformed body of a dragon demon. So there's that. Fu nods. I know, but it is hers now. She doesn't have to worry about fading away anymore. Never mind the celebration last night. They were finding out all sorts of things around it. The black chakra chains, her new aversion to anything super cold, and apparently a craving for all things dark chocolate. Life is weird. Sasuke nods, watching as Naruto almost has Naruto trapped, wrapping up his sword and holding it in place. Naruto, however, shows he hasn't been slacking off in his training, heaving and picking up the girl to toss her in the air where he makes a jump and they take their combat to the skies. They really are monsters. Sakura levels a bored look his way, like you aren't. That Mangekyo was full of stupid powers as well, none of them made sense to her more normal mind. Fu continues to watch the twins spar with a small smile on her face. Na-chan really does seem to have just as much inexhaustible energy as Naruto does. Here she shrugs, they're having fun at least. Sasuke points out to the fight, looks like they're escalating it. Naruto had long figured out that trying to match Naruto with her chains was a bad idea. Most likely because he had been training with Karen and Honoka and had gotten used to fighting against them. So saying, she removed several seal scrolls from her pouch and tossed them about the battlefield as she retreated. Every single one glowed with purple energy before purple seals etched themselves into the ground. Naruto slipped into one, where he immediately sank to his knee under some heavy strain. Naruto tried to take advantage and moved to attack with her chains, but Naruto is able to roll free and keeps a healthy distance from the scattered seals after that. Damn. Naruto smirks, gravity seals. Nice. You've been experimenting. Nodding, Naruto pulls her chains back to rattle protectively around her as Naruto closes the distance between them. I have to close the gap between us somehow, stupid Rinnegan. Placing a hand at the hilt of the Kubikiri, with a thought to manipulate his chakra, the end of the sword shatters, seeding shards of the sword imbued with Horatian tags all over the field. Time to take it up a notch then. Wait, that's cheating. Grunting as her chains took an impact to her left, Naruto forms a dome barrier around herself as her head whips around. To her rear there is another heavy attack that rattles her and she starts feeling out and thinking about what she can do. Excitedly, she notes that she can latch onto his seals and does so. Dropping her barrier, she flashes away just as he does and the flash war begins. Faster than anyone else can hope to keep up with, both twins use the Horatian to move back and forth between seals in an effort to both catch each other and avoid each other. Eyes all wide, Sasuke and the others watch on with growing dread as they realize both Uzumaki blondes are going to take this further and further if they let them. Sasuke is already starting to stand, Sakura and Fu joining him. I am not looking forward to jumping back into this. Sakura nods, just hold him still so I can bash his face in. Hearing footsteps, Fu turns back to see Hinata and Shin joining them, walking together from the tree line. Hello. Both remaining members of Team 7 turn back, ignoring the earth-rattling explosion from behind them. Sasuke raises an eyebrow right away. Naruto does have a type. Hinata and Shin look at each other again before shrugging, having come to a quiet agreement the night before. Sakura crosses her arms, eyebrow twitching, and just what do you mean about that? Rolling his eyes, Sasuke pulls Sakura into his side and kisses her on the forehead. Nothing at all. I love you unconditionally just as you are, you know that. Blushing and looking away, Sakura fidgets in his arms. I mean, yeah, I do. But I could stand to hear it more. Or, Shin gushes as Hinata shakes her head and they all turn back as another explosion rocks the area, a cloud of smoke going up while Naruto and Naruto both are ejected in opposite directions. Naruto slides backwards, grinding through stone before using his sword to stop his movement. Naruto is more graceful, using wind to slow herself before landing lightly and bouncing on her feet. Naruto shakes his head, standing tall and bouncing his sword off his shoulder. Wanna call it quits. Chains rattling around her once again as she catches her breath, Naruto is still all smiles. I can do this all day. Naruto nods as with a flick his sword is whole again, and then with a thought sage mode settles in his system, the special chakra filling him with power. If you say so. Hey, no fair. That really is cheating. Naruto grins, taking a step and using chakra to send a shockwave through the ground. Wanna see what I really can do? 5 clones appear around him, 2 on his left, 3 on his right, all of them with the Rinnegan now as he activated his own. Naruto takes a moment, feeling out and realizing that each Naruto felt a little different, and with a groan she gives him the finger and pulls her chains back into herself. You're all using a different path, aren't you? One of the Naruto group, maybe the original, nods and grins, and I've got one more level above this too that I can pull out. Throwing up her arms, Naruto has had it. Nope, screw that. I'm done. It was like fighting a mountain. Sure, you could chip away pieces of it, but the mountain was just still there, mocking her, with a big shit-eating grin on its face. You're full of bullshit and you're less a ninja and more a magician now. No wonder you can't be sneaky at all. I can be sneaky. Frowning and dispelling his clones and his sage mode with a thought, Naruto turns back to his friends. Sealing away the Kubikiri as well, he grunts with his hands on his hips. He sees the newly arrived Shion and Hinata. Hey girls, what's up? Hinata smiles and waves back towards Azu. The airship is almost here. We should return and prepare. Naruto jogs up to them, making more normal clones in order to flash back to the tower. Got it. Let's get a move on then. It was time to make way. B. Walking along under the warm sun, the Raikage can appreciate the beauty of the land of rice. Rumor had it and reality showed that the nation was a much more peaceful place. Between several of the smaller ninja clans teaming together to take care of their bandit problem and apparently a new daimyo taking control and making friends, it made for a nice and easy walk on their way to the land of iron. Followed by Darui and Team Simui, considers what is coming next. The summit was for once a minor thing, the major villages wanting to confirm some of the rumors surrounding the revived Uzushio and Uzumaki clan. Someone was apparently hunting the Biju as well, and someone else was gathering civilians, potentially amassing forces for something. All of it was, of course, shadows and fakes within who knew how many plans. Such was the world of ninja. Darui voices his thoughts, hoping to get some information from the Raikage. Should we be concerned about the Uzumaki? The Hokage mentioned sponsoring them to attend this summit, did she not? A nods, she did, but Uzushio to me is nothing more than a nuisance. I'm going to bring it up with the other Kage, but with luck they'll all agree that breaking that nation up again is for the good of national balance. Hira crosses thick arms over his broad and muscled chest. Even now, as small as it is, Uzushio is upsetting the balance of things. That can't be allowed. Worst case scenario, Iwa and Kumo worked together to take care of it behind the scenes. It was usually easier to ask forgiveness rather than permission. Darui nods at that slowly, though a frown is still on his face as Team Simui listens in quietly. Using the land of sky did not work out as we would have liked. No, it didn't. I should have known that clan was washed up. To think they were so fearsome once upon a time. Had a scowl on his face, still upset that those sky ninja couldn't even breach Uzushio's borders. Pathetic. Never should have relied on a broken nation like them. Already rumors have it that Uzushio is picking over the remains of their flying fortress, and who knows what ill they'll get up to with that technology. Behind them, Simui clears her throat, speaking up for the first time. Our alliance with Iwa is that our best move, sir. Waves a hand harshly to the side, silencing her quickly. Do not bring that up again. No one is to know about that but us. Turns to watch Simui nod once before grunting and looking ahead. It is for the best that we have a backup plan. Our worst case scenario for crushing Uzushiogaku without the aid of the others in secret if need be. Of course, if the other villages turn out to be weaker than we originally thought. Leaves that idea floating in the air, not finishing the sentence and hoping the others can connect the dots. Darui, however, changes topic somewhat, going straight for the largest question in his mind. We're on the cusp of a major war then, aren't we? Watching farmers tend to their fields on either side of the road, takes a moment to think and really consider what Darui said. Things had changed in recent years, people had changed. It's heavily possible. Smaller nations are banding together, Uzushio ushering several under their single banner at the top of the list. Minor conflicts are being solved usually with little violence while major tensions between nations seem on the rise. Worse yet, Jinchuriki are going missing. A grumbles as he thinks of his own, be carted off to his mountain for safekeeping while Yugito still hadn't reported back. I have to assume by this point Yugito was intercepted before reaching a zoo. No way that wet behind the ears brat took her down. No, that group Akatsuki most likely got to her. Someone is collected Biju, something not done since the formation of the villages. Sumui is quiet, but thinking aloud, for Yugito-sama to be taken down by anyone is a major feat. It's unthinkable really. A nods, mentally agreeing, yes. That is why I'm leaning towards Akatsuki getting to her. Thinking it over, he holds up a fist and counts off. This makes the Nibi, the Sanbi, the Yonbi, the Rokubi, and the Nanabi all missing in action while the Kyubi is apparently playing at leader. Darui grunts with the new information. Why would someone collect the Biju like this? The nations use them as a balance of power. Doing so will only lead to more war. Unless that was the goal, to drop all of the nations back into chaos. Or again nods, exactly, without the Biju as deterrents, the nations have limited options. Iwa and Kumo both have their weapons, while Konoha is empty and Suna has the weakest. Kiri isn't even a worry anymore, just coming out of their civil war and therefore weak. In fact, this would be the perfect time to march forward and crush Konoha. That was a thought, rash though it might be. No one there could stop B after all. If things don't balance out, war is most likely coming. Unless someone has thought up a counter to the Biju. Or and Darui turned back to look at the normally quiet Sumui. Who continues her train of thought, the Uzumaki were feared for their sealing abilities. What if we're wrong, and Azushio is sealing the Jinchuriki away one by one? Darui exchanges a look with his Raikage before shrugging, because it was a possibility. That was one of the major reasons Azushiogaku was destroyed the first time. Fears that they could take away the weapons that humanity had made out of the Bijuan people. If they've completed that research, then. A grunts and lengthens his strides, no use speculating. For now we attend this summit and attempt to get some answers. What we will or won't do with Azushio will be figured out later. I knew exactly what he would do with that pesky village. The only concern was who would help them do what was needed to ensure their continued status quo. Sumui nods and jogs to keep up with her team and Kage while silently offering a prayer for the potentially passed on Yugito. She sincerely hoped the other woman was in a better place now. She deserved something better. B. Not all that far from the Raikage and to the south in the Land of Fire, Tsunade walks along flanked by Guy and Kakashi. Hokage hat on her head, the older woman grumbles about it but at least is happy it keeps the sun off her head. Do you think leaving the village to Shikaku and Asuma will be alright? Kakashi mumbles out as they walk, no pervert book in sight. Tsunade nods, hands folded into her jacket as they walk along the tree-lined path, they'll be fine. They are two of the smartest men we have there. Though, as a replacement I would prefer you. Tsunade grins at him, what do you say, want to take the hat? No Lady Hokage, I don't think I could put up with the stress. Kakashi waved his hands to ward off the idea. That would mean he'd have to deal with Naruto on a regular basis, and he wasn't sure his heart could take that. But also, could bringing two of the village's strongest ninja be seen as a sign of provocation to the other villages? Tsunade grins and looks away, eyes back on the road, good to see you're thinking. To answer you, yes and no. All of the villages are going to be there to show off a bit and flex their strength. We're all subtly going to be performing a show of force while spouting off about keeping the peace. It's all a show and dance. Until young Naruto comes and upends the table. Guy speaks up, thoughtful and holding his chin. Sighing, Tsunade gives a tired nod, that's about right. Naruto just being there will throw things off. And part of her was happy for that. Things had stagnated, they had gotten too used to these proxy games and miniature conflicts all over the world. Naruto was changing things, cleaning up the unaffiliated nations and decreasing the loss of life among the civilians. Plus, thanks to some snooping from Jiraiya we now know that Iwa is making movements behind the scenes. And they had a tentative alliance with Kumo that both villages don't want any of us to know about. Guy hums in more thought at that, not very youthful actions for major villages. Kakashi nods, just knowing about it is a big plus and gives us bargaining chips. We aren't going to bring it up. Feeling both men turn to face her, Tsunade smiles. Sometimes it is best to let your enemy move as if they are getting one over on you. It makes them predictable. Tsunade pulls a hand free and holds up a finger. Bringing up Uzumaki and Naruto at this summit is bound to cause some rather interesting reactions from those old men. Onoki especially is going to blow a gasket when he sees Naruto. Kakashi knows without a doubt that Iwa isn't going to come around to any type of de-escalation so long as Naruto is around. The hatred for the Yellow Flash still ran deep in Iwa. Along with that, considering Naruto's connection with Hinata, tensions with Kumo were a done deal as well. Even if Kumo came around, Naruto would most likely be looking for any excuse to needle the village just on principle. That however makes him think of something else of a recent development. I heard you released Hunter Ninja recently. My what big ears you have. Chuckling, Tsunade nods, yes. Seems our resident troublemaker Konohamaru has taken a page from Naruto's book and made off with the other Hyuga princess Hanabi. Here she grinned as she remembered the fuming face of Hiashi as he demanded the entire Anbu forces by use to hunt for his daughter. Denying that had been worth the screaming once she got to see just how red his face could get. Why does anyone connected to that brat cause me nothing but problems? Here she turned and eyed Kakashi pointedly, to which he began to chuckle and rub his neck. I'd like to mention that it's not my fault. You trained the little asshole. Not Konohamaru however. Naruto influenced him. That's more than enough reason for me. Those Hunter Nin better find those kids. Soon. Apparently they were on the trail of those kids in the port town of Higurashi to the south. It was a known pirate haunt, which did not bode well in her mind. Tsunade can feel a headache coming on and rubs her temples. If I have to put up with another day of Hiashi checking in with me every 15 minutes to see if there's an update, I will kick him into orbit. Guy gives her a thumbs up, grinning and teeth flashing. I'm sure those kids will be found quickly and returned to Konoha before we even finish the summit. Here Guy gives it some more thought. I'm sure Konohamaru is a strong boy. He'll keep young Hanabi safe and sound. Tsunade drops her hands and nods. He better. They rise over a hill, the air beginning to chill as they can see a rocky and snowy landscape in the distance. Because if anything happens to Hanabi, I'll skin him alive for making me deal with her father. At the least, they were getting close. Maybe next time they would charter one of Uzumaki or Spring's airships. Naruto had to admit, the girls had come up with a good idea this time around. Sure, ninja travel was fast, but flying by airship was easily a step above riding in style in a horse-drawn coach. This specific airship was one of the new passenger types, decked out on the exterior in Uzumaki red and blues, with interior highlights of lighter greens and blues for spring. Naruto compared it to a floating hotel. Here where he was, near the very bottom of the ship on the observation deck, he had a full view of the landscape floating by below them as they flew level with the clouds. This deck sported lounge chairs and couches with seating along the wraparound windows so people could enjoy the view, while at its center was a currently empty bar. This flight was just for the summit, which meant a flight crew and his group, no one else would be present. On either side of Naruto, Hinata and Ino chat about the upcoming meeting of the major villages Kage, while on a couch not far from them Sasuke and Sakura do much of the same. Ino pokes Naruto to regain his attention. Think you're ready for this? Naruto nods slowly, turning and leaning against the railing separating them from the large windows. I should be. Bar-chan gave me a pretty good primer on what to expect and just what kind of men Onoki and there are. A is going to be the tough one. She calls him strong-willed, but it really sounds like stubborn. Ino frowns in thought. Think you could have some leverage with him. Kumo did attempt to kidnap Hinata once upon a time, never mind the Uzumaki pens that we know about. For now, Naruto took a deep breath to steady himself, reminding himself to stick to his currently set plan. We're gonna stay quiet about those issues for now. Unless A brings it up himself. For us, today is about the rest of the world recognizing Uzumaki as its own nation and potentially one of the major villages. Of course, the second they returned home, he had another meeting to make. On his other side and leaned casually against him, Hinata grumbles, we could just wipe Kumo off the map. That'd make recognition real easy. Hugging the girl tightly with a grin and rubbing her back to keep her calm, Naruto shook his head. You know we can't do that, yet. My goal is peace. Real peace. That means not blowing everyone up just because I can. What sort of peace would it be if he razed the world to the ground? Building a new world on the ashes of the dead didn't sound like the work of a hero. Ino smirks, pointing a well-manicured finger towards him. Explosions are always an option. Turning his words back on him was always fun. Yeah, well, you aren't wrong. Naruto settles in for some quiet, gently rubbing Hinata's back and easing the negative emotions out of her while Ino relaxed and watched En and Deidara of all people enjoy a game of Go together as part of the defense team. Naruto chuckles and regains their attention. I can put the screws to Onoki and Iwa at least. Ino nods. Getting them on our side peacefully was never going to be an option. Your father was and still is the boogeyman to them, and having you leading a new nation. Yeah, they'll be just thrilled about that. Well, we have verifiable proof that Onoki's granddaughter attacked me without provocation, and that I let her go. That should carry some weight. Seeing both girls giving him flat looks, Naruto begins to grin. What? Not a chance. That they said this in unison had Naruto sweating. Look, one way or another this meeting is going to be good for us. On the world stage, just having the major villages meet with us is a win. It legitimizes us as a major political player. Though Naruto did not want to invite any glory-seeking nobles into his home. Nor would any Uzushio citizens. Humming and thinking, Ino crosses her arms. I wonder if Kayuki, Kotohime and Karen will arrive with Gaara and his siblings. They should have finished up in sooner by now. Yes. They better not show up. Naruto shakes his head. I gave them instructions to return to Uzushio right away with their airship. Call it paranoia, but I want everyone not needed on a mission at home right now. This was a time that the other villages would know for sure that he was not in Uzushio. That was a recipe for problems. Hinata chides him gently with a hand on his arm. Darling, don't you think you're being a bit overprotective? With Karen there they have a full complement of golem samurai along with the airship crew. Shrugging, Naruto shakes his head. Maybe, but better safe than sorry. I couldn't bear it if something happened to any of you. I don't know what would happen if I lost you. Most likely burn anyone and everyone responsible to ash and blow their home village into the Stone Age. Hush, don't give me ideas. I don't need to, you have dozens rattling around in that head of yours. Kurama chuckled as Naruto retreated, knowing he was correct. Raking his gaze over the deck, Naruto watches En and Deidara play the game, both men exchanging words quickly for the moment. I'm starting to wonder if I should be afraid of those two paired together. Hinata pokes him in the ribs again. It was the only way you could stop everyone else from trying to come. Between Tayuya having to take the chair again, Honoka stuck with the barrier team, and Amaru training with her and Isaribi to begin catching up to the rest of us, well you were going to get some type of add-on personal one way or another. Never mind Naruto and Fu, who Naruto nearly got into a fight with to prevent them from attending. Naruto apparently had some choice words for the Raikage. But that's what Sasuke and Sakura are for. Ino points at the pair, lost in their own world and cuddled together, nearly in each other's laps. Oh yes, Sasuke who will happily go on a tear with you, and Sakura who pretends to rein you both in but is just as much of a brawler as you are. Yes, great deterrent there. Naruto grumbles, we aren't that bad. Hinata pats his arm again, yes dear, yes you are. Taking a moment to watch her pouting love, Ino can't help but be a little irked that he could pull off the cute look so easily. By the way, should I expect some type of Ino clone to show up someday? Shion really is a dead ringer for Hinata. I didn't mean for it to happen. Hinata giggled and turned to Ino. It only means that Naruto has good tastes in women is all. Gravity will be your downfall. Please, praise me more. Naruto grunted and hugged both girls to him. I work to be the best, and thus, want the best for myself. All of you are nothing short of perfection given form in your own way. He pauses to kiss them both on their foreheads before continuing. Playful banter is one thing, but let's not snipe at each other, okay? Blushing and cuddling into him, Hinata nods quickly. Of course my love, we mean well. Ino nods, joining Hinata in cuddling with him with the same heavy blush on her face. You know us whiskers, we don't mean anything by it. Off to the side and listening in, Deidara grins as he moves a piece. Lord Naruto certainly has a way with words. En nods, moving his own piece and changing the board in his favor. That's Lord Naruto, he's good at what he does. En takes a moment, adjusting his flashy glasses that matched his wife's with a grin. So, how's the teacher life? I know you can't take missions yet, but you seem to be settling in well enough. I hear you're even coming up with new chemical compositions for explosives. That it was with the aid of one of the Ninja Academy classes was only a little unsettling. Those little monsters were very motivated. Deodara smiles and nods quickly. The children have inspired me to take my art to a new and glorious height. They all have such wonderful ideas, mine's not yet set in the ways of our generation after all. Sometimes they ask questions that make one really think. N shivers, not liking the tone used there. Just promise not to blow any of the little hellions up. We want a good showing once we have some graduates out in the field. Deodara's smile turns more feral and into a full-blown smirk. Don't worry. When these children graduate and form teams, they'll be among the best of the best. Why, I'd hazard to say maybe next year's Chunin exams will be very interesting. Doing their best not to listen in, and shivering all the same, Sasuke and Sakura continue to relax and mentally prepare for what was to come. They were not going to get involved in whatever the hell the former Akatsuki member was up to. Nope, Naruto could deal with that. Well, on second thought, Tayuya would need to handle that. Naruto would probably egg him on. B. The land of iron was a harsh place, raising only the strong of mind and body, while all others usually fled the bleak climate. That sat just fine with the likes of Mifune. He and his samurai held the line of tradition that the various ninja nations could not seem to hold onto. But, his nation was allowed to be one of true neutrality, never dragged into any of their conflicts so far. Today found him within the grand meeting hall in which the Kage summit would soon start, and this one had a chance of being quite explosive. Gaara sat in his seat, Kankuro and Temari high on the balcony overlooking the meeting while 2 seats over a smiling Mei Terumi was just taking her seat while her own guards Ao and Chojuro jumped away to join the Suna ninja out of the way. Gaara bowed his head lightly to her, face carefully neutral. You look well, Lady Mizukage. Likewise, Lord Kazekage, it is great to be out and about, isn't it? Nodding his head once, Gaara looks to his cage hat placed in front of him. Indeed. I must congratulate you on your village's return to peaceful relations with the outside world. I heard your internal affairs were rather arduous. That's putting it mildly, Lord Kazekage. Just Gaara is fine, Lady Mizukage. Then please, call me Mei as well. At least let us be more comfortable before those stuffy elders arrive. Mei giggled as Gaara made a face. Tsunade might be alright, but Mei just knew Onoki and were going to be stuffed shirts about things. I do hope with this that Kiri will be able to expand relations with the other villages. Or, at the least, I suppose establishing firm agreements with Konoha will be enough. Suna and Kiri are after all, under a banner already. Indeed, I don't hold much hope for Iwa or Kumo. Bad blood runs deep there. While Suna hadn't had direct conflicts with Kumo in a long time, Iwa was always pushing at their borders. Mei sighs and leans her head on her raised hand. I'm sure our mutual friend would consider just getting all of the Kage talking peaceably to each other a major win. Peace sure is hard won, isn't it? Gaara can't help but agree, constant effort is required. Turning to the entrance of the large but mostly empty hall at the sound of footsteps, Gaara raises a hand to greet a smiling Tsunade. Welcome, Lady Hokage. Just Tsunade will do, none of that formal nonsense. Waving a hand and letting Guy and Kakashi take to the balcony, Tsunade places her hat down before taking her seat. Mei, good to see you. You're looking lovely, Tsunade. Hopefully your trip was uneventful. Mei bows lightly to Tsunade and receives one in return. Thankfully, yes. Clear skies and an easy trip makes me hopeful for these talks. Tsunade relaxes a bit and opens up her gambler's jacket with a sigh. It's too bad Kiri couldn't make the last Chunin exams. Perhaps the next. Mei looks only slightly embarrassed about that little issue. Yes, we hope to attend the next one now that we're opening back up. Tsunade nods to her and turns to address Gaara across the large stone table. How are you siblings? Things going well in Suna? Gaara grins. My family is well, though my siblings are being a bit pushy about me dating. Seeing an understanding look cross Tsunade's face, Gaara continues, we do have to thank and give credit to Azushio. Trade between our villages has made life in Suna just a bit better lately. Never mind their improved economy thanks to the new trade partners, even their civilians have been happier with the new market options. Tsunade sighs with something that sounds like relief. I'm glad to hear that the little idiot is good for more than just blowing things up. Oh, I sure hope he is. Mei's face turned sultry and Tsunade did her best to scrub that particular image out of her mind. Mei really was serious about going after Naruto. Just what she needed. Gaara was already turning towards Tsunade. Perhaps I should send Naruto some of Tsunade's specialized energy drinks. Tsunade chuckles and relaxes back, might be the only thing keeping the Gaki running at this point. All three of the assembled Kage turn as more footsteps approach. Arriving with strong strides, they all take in the Raikage, removing his hat as a full team, and another ninja all jump into the balcony to leave him alone with them. Well, the Raikage is as timely as ever. I was frowning but nodded to all the assembled Kage in turn. Hokage, Kazekage, Mizukage, it has been some time. Here he turned to Mifune and offered another slight bow. Lord Mifune, you look well. Lord Raikage, you seem in good health. Mifune usually kept out of the conversations, but a greeting was fine enough. I groaned as he placed his hat down and sat next to Tsunade, but an open seat between him and Gaara. He pointedly ignored the empty seat between Gaara and Mei. Good health or not, I'd like to get this over with and return to my village. I have more pressing matters to deal with. Mei smirks, brushing her hair away from her covered eye momentarily. You say that like attending us other Kage is a chore. Because it is, Kumo has no need for the rest of you. Gaara leaned forward, grunting as the elder Kage leaned back with his arms crossed. Such words from a major village. Here Gaara's face became tense. It's almost like you wish the rest of us would disappear. It would make my life simpler. Tsunade rolled her eyes and knocked her knuckles against the table. Can we not? This is about keeping the peace, not restarting age-old conflicts. She raised a delicate eyebrow to her, who eventually scoffed and turned away from her. Even you can't afford a major war right now. It's a balance we all ride. Your reasoning is sound, slug princess. Perhaps we could keep this to the elders this go round, leave the younguns to silence. Pointedly shrugging off the gazes of Gaara and Mei, I turned fully to Tsunade. We know what needs to be done here, not them. Gaara has no problem speaking up again. Our age should have no bearing on our ability to lead. Were you not younger when you took the hat? This is what I mean, youthful vigor and hasty emotional decisions. Sounds like projection, Mr. Unruly. I was on his feet in an instant. You want to pick a fight with me, boy? Around them the building rumbles, and all eyes turn to the Raikage, who is just as confused as the rest. That wasn't me. Tsunade shakes her head, having some idea as the rumbles die down. Can't blame us, it would fit you. Another group enters the great hall, gaining curiosity. Someone could be heard grumbling and complaining, and Tsunade begins to chuckle. Onoki had arrived. Pretentious brat, who needs to make an entrance like that? In my day just having strength was more than enough. Onoki was still grumbling while riding on his grandson's shoulders, having thrown out his back earlier. Akatsuki had no problem helping his grandfather along, while next to him Uzumaki stayed quiet and wondered just how the hell she ended up on this detail. Damned Kuretsuki and her disappearing act. Mei listened to the elder complain as he was helped into his seat while considering who he might be complaining about. Quickly coming to the conclusion that it might be Naruto, she decided to straighten herself and subtly check her appearance some. Would never do to look unruly in front of her beau. Lord Tsuchikage, welcome. Bah, welcome nothing. This could have been a video call. Why drag an old man all the way out to this frigid place? My bones ache. Onoki waved his grandson off and watched his two guards join the others. Well, let's get on with this. I don't have all day. A grunts and exhales sharply through his nose. Yet another who should hang up the hat. Disgraceful. Alliance not, they needed to keep up appearances. Onoki grins and turns to the much larger Raikage. Oh ho. You're welcome to come and see how weak this old man has gotten. I may yet have a surprise or two in store for you. Tsunade rolls her eyes and looks to Mei with a smile. Men and the dick waving contests, maybe we should leave and let them go at it. Mei giggles, nodding quickly. I think that'd be for the best. Mifune looks around the table and nods slowly. It seems all relevant members have arrived. Should we begin this summit? Shaking her head, Tsunade holds up a hand and gets groans from Onoki. There is one more we are waiting on to attend this meeting. He should be just arriving now. Scowl deepening, grips the table with both hands. All of the major villages are here. Why should we wait? It is true that the 5 nations are all accounted for, but there's another I wish to sponsor for this meeting to speak for themselves. Onoki catches on right away, waving a hand dismissively. That Izushio brat has no place here. You have a soft spot for him and that impedes your judgment. Best to get this thrown out quickly before the boy could show up and open his mouth. I beg to differ. Tsunade sat up a bit straighter, hands in her lap. Azushio already has enough political clout to foster several high-profile alliances all on their own. And considering those alliances, a seat at the table here isn't much to ask for. Mifune stepped in, nodding his head as one of his samurai rushed to him to whisper in his ear. I have to agree with the Hokage on this. Waiting for our sixth member to arrive shouldn't be much to ask for. Even he had heard of this Shadow Kage. The one who sees truth. The Maelstrom. So many names and titles, each apparently well earned. Though, Stealer of Daughters was a new one he had only heard in whispers. I shook his head. I'll concede to your judgment, Mifune Dono, but I have to mention that the 5 Kage are the leading authority of the land. Adding in some sixth player is going to unbalance things severely. Gaara pounces on that. The balance seemed awfully skewed lately as it is already. Or have you not noticed? Seeing Botha and Onoki go quiet at that made Gaara mentally pay a bit more attention. Something truly was going on behind the scenes with those two villages. Interesting. May knocks her knuckles against the stone table. I as well will vouch for the Azushio leader. The reclusive Shadow Kage. Scoffs and rolls his eyes. Pretentious boy. Who would name themselves the Shadow of Shadows? Tsunade points to don't we all have such noteworthy names? Why begrudge another for theirs? Besides, he has been operating in the shadows for a long time under our notice. Unless you're jealous. Naruto did have some lesser known names that weren't to be mentioned in polite company after all. Woohoo, the Raikage is jealous of me. Let me write that down for my nation's history books. Loud and brash, Naruto walked his way into the Great Hall. Flanked by a stoic Sasuke and a grinning Sakura, Naruto exuded confidence as he approached the table. Long black battle jacket on over his black and orange get-up, the only real addition was a wide-brimmed black hat with red trim. Took a bit longer to get here, hope you didn't wait long. Onoki was standing already, though even in his seat it didn't improve his height much. This is obviously a provocation by the leaf. Look at this, he's the spitting image of that damned yellow flash mutt. Mifune turns to address Onoki fully. How so? Has Uzumaki Dono threatened you or yours directly? Well no, but he's the son of our most hated enemy. I can't allow this. Naruto shrugs while giving a motion to allow Sasuke and Sakura to jump away to join the others above them. I can't deny I'm Minato's son. But I'm no threat to Iwa as I am now. Why, I even saved some of your citizens from Orochimaru. Does that not rate as a gesture of goodwill? Mifune once more turns from Naruto to Onoki. Is that true? Well yes. Grumbling and returning to his seat, Onoki crosses his own arms and frowns. Damned brat, fine, I relent. Naruto nods, taking his place between Gaara and Mei while greeting them both. Good to see ya both. Things well. Gaara nods, as well as they could be. I hear you've invited me to see Azushio properly. I'll have to make the trip soon. Mei leans forward towards him a bit, offering him a different view. I must say Naruto-sama, I almost feel like you've been avoiding me. I hope that's not true. Voice sultry, she took delight in the large gulp she could see him take. Chuckling nervously, Naruto shakes his head. Not at all, just been busy is all. I'd love to come and stop by Kiri sometime soon. See that you do. Slams a hand down on the table to grab everyone's attention, a tick mark forming on his forehead. It may be a token issue to the rest of you, but Kumo can't acknowledge this Biju container as a leader. He is a tool, nothing more. He is to be used and stored away when not needed. Shame on Konoha for losing control like this. Frowning, Tsunade has to up her self-control to prevent herself from giving the Raikage the finger. Naruto is a person, not some tool. Perhaps this is why Kumo has such poor showings in the exams so often. Naruto grins as A's frustration grows. I wonder if your position on the matter is the same for Gaara. Or the Mizukage before Mei, you Gaara. Mei catches on and smirks, posing the question to her as well. I'm curious to hear your thoughts as well, as you have acknowledged Gaara as a competent leader. A waves Mei off easily. That was then, this is now. The QB is a different breed than the others. It must be tightly controlled at all costs. Someone is hunting the Jinchuriki these days. Keeping them protected must be our highest priority. So you know about Akatsuki then? They must be a problem for everyone at this rate. Naruto brings it up easily, watching Onoki's and A's responses. Onoki easily draped himself in the guise of a pained old man, but he bore into Naruto's own eyes easily, and Naruto could see the challenge for what it was. He wants to beat the snot out of you. No shit, should we keep egging him on? You risk a lot doing that, and you were the one who harped about keeping to your plan. Damn, you're right, I'll play nice. Nice didn't mean fair, of course. Mifune holds up a hand, silencing further arguments. It seems that Uzumaki-san has sponsors to be here. Unless there is a formal objection, we shall commence with the Kage's summit. Tsunade nods. I can agree with that. Mei is smiling as she agrees. I'd like to get things underway. Onoki grumbles. One twitch and I'll reduce him to ash. Gaara sighs. Let's keep things civil, Tsuchikage. Continues to stare down Naruto. Fine, but I still protest it on my own. Naruto is the last to relax back into his seat, a grin still on his face. You do that. We have a lot to talk about anyway. Well, the first hurdle was done with. Now the real fun, or boring shit if you listen to Tayuya, was about to begin. Tsunade stands then, one hand on the table. Then I'd like to start off with the first order of business. The inclusion of Azushio and its return as a major village in the elemental nations. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.